Hi, good morning, Mr. Carey. It's P.O. Mccrae.
Good morning.
All right, we're ready to start your hearing. Are you all set?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, perfect. Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Mccrae. Today is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record, certify that they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, Mr. Carey. I'm Deborah Smith-Palmieri.
Good morning, Robert Sazowskis.
Good morning, panel member Rodriguez.
Also present is the Office of Victim Services. Sir, can you please state your name and inmate number for the record?
Tyler Carey, inmate number 415560.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Tyler Carey, 415560. He is serving a sentence of 15 years, execution suspended after 10 years, and 5 years probation for manslaughter first, evading responsibility, larceny second, and conspiracy to larceny first. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of 5/26/25. There is victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that the offender has completed conflict resolution 1 and 2, reflections 1 and 2, career choices, thinking outside the box, resume writing, basic credit seminar, business class 1 and 2, voices, good intentions, bad choices, alternatives to violence, and anger management. He is also currently participating in the TRUE program, and he holds a facility job. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Carey, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, sir.
Thank you. Before I read what I've prepared today, I ask that humbly.
Excuse me, Mr. Carey? Mr. Carey, can you wait just a moment? You're a little bit muffled, and I want to see if we can correct that.
So people need to be.
All right, then try again, Mr. Carey. Try speaking again.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yes, perfect.
Much better.
Much better.
Before I read what I prepared today, I am nervous, and I humbly ask that if I fumble over my words, that y'all just bear with me. Good morning. I would like to thank the parole board for giving me an opportunity to be heard today. It is my understanding that parole is a privilege, and I am beyond grateful for being afforded this opportunity. I would like to start by apologizing to the victim's family, my own family, and the community for the harm I've caused. My regrets are plenty and my remorse is heavy. It is the past that keeps me attentive to my present and necessitate that I continue moving along the pathway to becoming a mature and productive member of society. There is not a day that goes by that I am not left to reflect upon the crimes that I committed. Thinking on how did I find myself in the situation that caused the death of another human being? Why did I have to make the decisions that I made on that tragic day? How, if ever, can I make amends for the loss of such a young life? These are the questions that have dwelled on my mind for many years. They are no doubt painful to think about. Nevertheless, they compel me to attend to my transformation daily. When I first entered prison, I was angry, hurt, and confused. I felt so much shame. It was the first time in my life that I began to do some critical thinking on how careless I lived my life. on how thoughtless my actions came at the cost of others. The night of my arrest, I initially misled the police in an attempt to evade responsibility and to protect an older friend of mine. Not even aware that anybody was hurt stemming from the car crash. This was another foolish choice I made that day. The moment that I became aware on November 27, 2016, that I, Tyler Carey, at the age of 18, was solely responsible for the death of a child's life, accident or not, that fact alone will never sit right with me. At my arraignment, hearing the victim's family's cries, my own family's cries, and the look in pain and confusion on everybody's faces is something I'll never forget. In hindsight, I've learned and now see clearly the errors in the way I was thinking. I'm not a monster. It was never my intentions to harm a single soul that day. Though as time passed, I've grown to accept that my childish, foolish, careless way of living ultimately led to a series of illogical events that in the end resulted in the untimely passing of a 4-year-old child. There's no amount of time that I could have ever been sentenced to that would suffice to an innocent child losing his life, as well as the pain and hurt suffered by those who love him. Though I lived a troubled past life as a teenager, I long ago decided to leave the nonsense behind. I've used my time wisely to re-examine my ways of thinking and my actions that led me to a prison cell. Instead of wandering around aimlessly in prison as I had done much of my adolescence, I decided to take my life more seriously. And that started with signing up for school the first chance I got. Within the first 6 months of my incarceration, I was able to complete and receive my GED. Shortly after my sentencing, I was presented with the opportunity to join the TRUE program, located in Cheshire Correctional Institution. Since May of 2019, I became a mentee in the program. As I took time to work on myself further, I partook in showing the people coming into the program behind me the do's and don'ts of the space we're provided, sharing my experiences in life, how for every action you make, there will always be a reaction, explaining how in the midst of trying to figure out who I was as a person, my search for identity and acceptance ultimately led me down the wrong path in life. I've done this in the hopes that nobody has heard my story will ever find themselves in a situation where they're asking themselves, what if I had only done this? Being in the TRUE program has allowed me to complete many programs such as anger management, conflict resolution, voices, good intentions, bad choices, AVP, also known as Alternative to Violence program, reflections, true choices, amongst many other workshops. Two of the most impactful programs that I've taken was Reflections and Voices. Reflections is a 17-week program where you are given the task of looking back on your life and coming to an honest understanding of the negative impact that crime and violence has on families and the communities we live in. Part of completing this program is having a graduation ceremony where each participant's family members gather in the visiting room and we read a speech on what lessons from the program resonated with us the most. When I walked up to the podium and read my speech about the nature of values and how our values are formed, to only get done and see my mother crying due to the changes she's seen in me, only it further encouraged me to continue on the positive path I am now walking on in life. Voices is a 15-week program to help you understand the impact of your crime on the victim. It looks into not only the victim impact, but also the community, your own family, and all those that was affected by the crime. Taking this program was a full circle moment for me because it forced me to admit that my action cause a massive ripple effect in numerous of people's lives. From the people whose car I stole, to the people who had to respond to the scene of the accident, to the people I crashed into, to the victim's family, everyone who was in the car with me, as well as their loved ones, down to myself and my own family. My actions and crimes I committed permanently altered lives forever. My journey through this program has allowed me to become more remorseful than I ever was. The TRUE program itself is such a unique space. Each of the programs I participated in better prepared me to thrive in a civil society. From having one-on-one conversations with the mentors/lifers and learning the errors of my ways, I now fully comprehend how twisted in mindset and lifestyle was. Being in this program, I for sure faced some tough challenges. And working my way through problems, I've learned that the way you do things now can determine the outcome later at hand. In facing these hurdles, I've learned to get through things with a higher level of maturity. Being in the TRUE program has also helped me develop a further level of empathy, as I've been challenged to deal with many of my own shortcomings for the things and choices I've made in my younger years. One aspiration of mine is to share my experiences with as many at-risk teens as possible. Show them that the things they do today matter tomorrow and can affect them in ways they can never possibly imagine. Using my life as an example that immaturity, carelessness, and destructive behaviors, big or small, can alter their communities and destroy families, including their own. If given the chance to be granted parole, I will continue to remain focused on working hard. I have, through the years, have had numerous of jobs. Being in the TRUE program has allowed me to experience working as a tearman and laundry worker within the unit. I've been privileged to work in the commissary warehouse program as a volunteer, and I am currently volunteering in the facility laundry room here in Cheshire. Maintaining the job has allowed me to build a routine, help me develop great social skills, as well as help me exercise my conflict resolution skills due to the many various personalities I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis in general population as a facility laundry worker. This work experience giving me the time to develop skills to assist me in becoming a great employee for any future businesses I will be working with. My reentry plan is to work for U-Haul as a customer service representative. I have been offered this job position as soon as I am available following my release, in the hopes of opening up other avenues for myself. I have recently completed a 3-day course as of August of 2024 to become OSHA 10 certified. In time, I would like to obtain my driver's permit, sign up for NETS, also known as New England Tractor Trailer School, and complete the courses to retain a commercial driver's license to start a career as a commercial truck driver. Once I have started my career, in my spare time, I will seek out a Big Brother program or a nonprofit organization where I can show troubled youth that there is more to life and use my own life as an example. I plan on living with my grandmother during my transition back into society, as I have a tremendous amount of family support behind me. Eventually saving enough money to move on my own when I become completely stable. I also fully intend to take advantage of different programs that will help those who are formerly incarcerated get acclimated to life. While I do understand the magnitude of my crimes and the everlasting effect, life-changing effect they continue to have on the victim's family, it is with certainty that the man sitting in front of you at this moment is not the 18-year-old who made the worst set of decisions of his life. I humbly hope and pray I could be afforded a second chance, putting the pieces of my life back together, and becoming an asset to the community sooner than later, making a difference in the lives of others for the better. I sincerely thank you for taking the time to hear me speak. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Carey. We appreciate you taking the time to put that together. It does provide us with a lot of insight into how you're thinking and how you see yourself having changed over the last number of years. So we are going to be asking you some questions. When we are all done with our questioning, we will hear from the Office of Victim Services. During that time, you can listen, you cannot interrupt. When Victim Services is completed, we will deliberate and give you our decision. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. My colleague, Mr. Sasaskis, will begin with the questions this morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yeah, you did a good job in that opening statement. And, as I'm looking at my questions, you've answered a lot of the things that I was going to talk to you about. So you may hear me ask some questions that are repetitive of some of the things that you've already talked about. But if you could just, dive deeper and enhance some of the things that you've already said. Okay. I read through all the information related to this case, and during the interview with the parole officer, you said that during this incident that it sounds like it was pretty chaotic inside of the car, and that people were yelling different things, but that people were telling you to stop. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Can you talk about what was going on? I understand you were 18 at that time, and you had just turned 18. I get all that, but what do you recall what was going on when they were telling you to stop? Why you weren't stopping?
There was a lot of things going on in that car that day. Everybody didn't understand the magnitude of what was taking place. There was 3 juveniles in the back seat, and all they knew was that the police was behind us. I'm trying not to get emotional because I never, throughout all these years, I never had the opportunity to speak on what happened. The child's father, I looked at him as like a brother. And I was trying to avoid everything from taking place. I honestly didn't know what to do. All my life, for everything that I ever done, never, ever harmed anybody physically. In the midst of all that chaos, I truly didn't know what to do. There was a point in time when 3 juveniles in the back seat, they didn't know whether they was coming or going. Pull over, I heard drive, they're behind us. And I just kept my eyes in the rearview mirror. I didn't even look ahead. And at that time, I asked the child's father, I said, what do you want me to do? He asked me to pull over. I looked at him sharply I said, "Are you sure?" And he looked at me. And he was just like, "Drive." He said, "Please don't drive too fast, drive." And I did. That's what happened that day in the car, and I drove. I never intended to hurt or harm anybody. And even at my sentencing, it's like I've been living a nightmare. Because my siblings was young. I had a visit with my mother just yesterday. My little sister's 18. When I got arrested, she was 9. My little brother was 7. And I explained to my little sister, when I first got arrested, I don't mean to go off a track. When I first got arrested and everything was happening, I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I didn't understand the magnitude of how bad things were. And my little sister asked me, she's 9, she doesn't know no better. She didn't know her brother's gone. And she had a dance recital. And she was like, "T, are you going to be home for my dance?" And I cried in the cell because I realized not only did I destroy a young family's life, unknowingly I destroyed my own. You know, the only way I can explain it, it's like I'm living a real life nightmare. And for 8 years of my life, it's been hard to wake up. I just recently, and within the last few years, forgiven myself for what's taking place.
Thank you very much, sir, for that answer. And I'm glad you had the opportunity here to, tell your story. You touched on this a little bit already, but, the Voices program is a powerful program, and we often get comments from people in these situations, you know what I mean, about how they think the victims feel and that kind of thing. So I know you've touched on it already, and I know this is very difficult, but we're gonna get through it. Can you just talk more about that, the Voices program, and how you think your actions have affected the victim's family specifically?
This program, Voices, there was a lot getting through that program. It was. Because a lot of the lessons, it forced you to put the people who was affected by crimes and personalize it. So basically putting their shoe on your foot. I couldn't fathom what took place if that would have happened to anybody in my family. I couldn't. I could never put myself in their shoes. I'll never know what they felt. No matter what I do, it will never be enough to sit there and replace the life that was lost. And regardless of the amount of time that I've taken, the amount of programs that I've taken, it's unexplainable. It's unexplainable. I learned in taking that program, point blank, that there's no victimless crime whatsoever. Even down to the smallest of details. The people whose car I stole, I had no business being in. I ruined somebody's work day, ruined their morning. God knows what they actually had in that car. I rooted somebody's life. They might have missed a paycheck. That's how they feed their family. By me taking their car that day, that took food out their mouth because they couldn't get to work on time. Just in the general aspect of everything, it forced me to realize, the way that I was living was wrong. It was wrong. And in the midst, because I never hurt anybody, in that point in time of my life, I was okay with that. The day of my arraignment, when I seen the families crying, and I'm like, what is going on? And they told me somebody died, that child died in that car accident. I felt like my whole entire life was falling apart. So I can only imagine how his family feels to this very moment. I've been living it. It's my life. I didn't. There's not enough words there's not enough words in the English dictionary, in the English language, that I can sit here and explain and express what took place that day. The only thing that I can say from any of these programs that I've taken and just from pure life experience is that I'm not that same person. I'm not.
So that was my next question, is about the change. You know, you talked about the 18-year-old you were then and the adult man, responsible person you are now. I mean, how did that change come about? Did it start right away? When do you think you felt like you've changed during your incarceration?
The day of my arraignment was eye-opening. That's when I understood the magnitude of what's taking place. The day of my sentencing was huge. Every month for the last 6 years since I got my sentencing transcripts, I've read what the family has spoken, and it stuck with me. It seriously resonated with me. And as I stated earlier, I just recently forgiven myself for what taking place. And it's been hard. It's been hard when you're told so many different stories about yourself. And people don't even know who you are as a person.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's move on a little bit and talk about your release plan. I know that you said that you wanted to live with your grandmother. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Have you talked to her? How does she feel about all this? You moving in with her?
She is willing and able and very accepting of it.
Okay. And then you mentioned you have a job lined up. Have you ever done that kind of work before? Have you done any kind of customer service work while you're incarcerated? You dealt with even other inmates. Have you done that kind of thing?
Currently do it today. Yes.
What kind of work is that you do?
I work in the facility laundry. I volunteer my time in the facility laundry. I don't get paid for it. Even having daily interactions with people whose clothes go missing, they need hands exchanges, etc. They talk to the workers. First line of defense is the workers, and we sit there and relate complaints to our boss.
And you'll be able to handle that at your job, because that's the kind of things that you're going to have. A lot of complaints. People, complain about whatever the services that they're receiving. They want something changed, fixed, whatever.
Absolutely.
You're capable of doing those kind of things?
Absolutely.
And then I read about your long-term goal of getting a CDL, which is something good, to have some short-term, like you're going to work, and then something that you're going to work toward in the long term, Have you ever had a driver's license?
No, I'm not.
Right, so you're going to be starting at the very beginning of that process.
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. And the only other thing I wanted to talk about was about the true unit. We often see people, I've seen people with very serious crimes come before us from the true unit, and they've done very well. Can you just talk about what you've learned in that unit specifically and how that's helped you?
Being 26, the true program allows an opportunity for people anywhere from the ages of 18 to 25 to come in and get their life right, learn from the examples of others. Even as far as my mentors and other mentors in the space, some of the stories you hear and life experiences and the way they're growing up are unimaginable. Some of the things you hear is something you could only read about, see in a movie. And the way my life was being lived at the time that I was incarcerated, I could have easily been in their shoes or dead. I want more for myself. And even for the younger brothers who come into that space, they sit there and they see me have a daily routine. They call me old man because of the way I live my life in prison. And I sit there and I try to explain to them that life is precious. Life is serious. One thing being up there in that space that I've learned is that time is very valuable. It's the only thing you spend, and you never know how much you got. And despite everything that I've been through, or the hardship that I've caused, prison is no longer an option. And I got my mind straight. And all I do all day, every day for dudes who do want to sit down with me and build and get their life together is tell them what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
The decisions that I made and how my life ended up and how I'm still dealing with it to this very moment. And people often don't think when they're in the act, when they're running around like a leaf in the wind, it ended up anywhere. It always until something happens when they're like, oh, I messed up. Everybody who's heard my story in that space, you'd be like, wow, Tyler, I would have never known that that's what happened. Yeah. Split-second decision will change your life. And I pass that story down. And not only that, the mentors upstairs do that as well, all day, every day. And that's what we're there for. I understand how precious life is. And I fully intend to take my life seriously.
Right, the last thing I just had, sir, for you was that you've been in for a while and you managed to get through this without any disciplinary reports. Which is very good. And, you probably see other people getting disciplinary reports in there. So how did you manage to do that? Especially in the beginning, you said you were angry when you came in. How did you manage to get through all of that, especially in the beginning, the initial part of this, without getting any kind of disciplinary reports?
It's easy. Being quite honest with you, it's easy. Take life serious. It's not a game, I could have ran through prison, breaking the rules, getting high, drinking. But that's not what I'm here for. Not what I'm here for. I know that what I'm going through, despite the laws, was for a reason. I'm still here for a reason. When God knows I shouldn't be. So instead of sitting here and acting like my life is over, I decided to shape up. Prison isn't for games. It's not for games. It's to sit there, take the time out to figure out why your life trajectory was going the way that it was going and fix it. I don't never want to put another family through what I put this family through. Because of my actions, they're missing a piece of their family forever. There's nothing, that's no type of game. That's no type of game. And I understand that. That's how I sat here within the last almost a decade and was able to stay ticket free, dysentery report free.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much for answering my questions, sir. I'm all set with you. I'm going to pass you on to my colleagues and see if they have any questions, okay, Madam Chair?
Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Carey, I just want to follow up on a few different areas. So, you talked a lot about the programming, and you've done some really great programs, especially for somebody your age. We especially are always, pleased when somebody is able to get into the TRUE program and do well. So, being in the TRUE program, we often talk about juvenile brain development. Do you hear that conversation when you're in the TRUE program? What do you know about juvenile brain development?
They say brain science, the frontal lobe, the frontal lobe's not fully developed until the age of 25.
Yeah.
I've heard that my entire time up there.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about, as an 18-year-old, describe yourself as that 18-year-old.
Being quite frank with you, I was an idiot.
Okay.
I thought I knew everything. I thought I had all the right answers. I felt justified in everything that I did. I didn't know anything. My mother raised me better than this.
So I'll paraphrase for you a little bit. When we talk about juvenile brain development, what do we talk about? Individuals who are impulsive and reactive, not considering the consequences of their actions. They're narcissistic. Everything is all about them, right? So we know all those are a characteristic of an 18-year-old. Clearly, you were well within that area when this occurred, and your actions before this arrest speak to that as well. So describe yourself to me now. What are some of the character? How would you describe yourself as a 26-year-old?
I'm a thinker. I don't live for the moment anymore. When I was 18, it was all about what were we doing now and right now. I'm not even thinking about the next day. Being 18, I never even imagined what my life would be at 21, let alone 26. I know more.
Okay.
I know more now that I've experienced everything that I have. And I've definitely learned from others of where they fell short in their lives. And now they're here walking around the facility with 40, 50, 60 years. I refuse to let that be me because I was being impulsive.
So how do you take, let's just leap forward here and say that, you said you're a thinker, you think about consequences, you think about your future, you think about how your decisions affect other people. So how do you live that in the community?
I'm a pillar. I have a routine. People see me sit at a table. I drink a cup of coffee every morning. And then I'm heading out the door to go to work. I come back. And often people will sit there and have to be like, Tyler, where you been all day? I simply tell them handling business. when I first arrived in that space, I was a little bit of a headache. I won't act like I was insane. I was a little bit of a headache. And played a lot of games. And it didn't do anything for me. I knew I needed more. I wanted more for myself. Not only currently, but after this. So I decided to live my life in here the same way I would in the free world. And that's waking up every morning, creating a routine, going to work, coming back, day in, day out, doing the same things. And what the people behind me see is you create a healthy routine and you stick to it, there's no room for error.
I have to say, I don't disagree with that at all. I think routine and schedules, especially, I mean, you are still quite a young man, right? 26 years old, still have a lot of growing to do. Still have a lot of your life ahead of you to, you know, show that you can be a productive member of the community. So you talked a little bit with my colleague about remorse. You talked about the ripple effect. So at some point, whether you're paroled today or not, you will be back in the community. What does it mean to you to atone for your behaviors? What will you do in the community?
As of lately, I watch the news, and around Connecticut, there's an epidemic when it comes to stolen cars. And my juvenile history sit there and speak for itself. That's all I ever done, steal cars. And it's all fun and games till it's not fun and games. And when I see people getting arrested for the most reckless of things, just as reckless as what brought me here in front of everybody today, it tugs at my heartstrings because I know what it's like to be in that driver's seat. You often don't think when you're in the midst of the act. All those thoughts come of getting it together is when it's too late. And it's the saddest thing in the world. My biggest thing when I'm fully settled is to give back by speaking out an outreach program, whether it be a little church, a Big Brothers program, and let them know that a split-second decision will really change your life in ways that you will never imagine. And you can cause harm that can never be repaired no matter what you do. And that's something I got to live with.
Right. So what does it mean to you you've sort of already answered that. So what do you think will be the most challenging about returning to the community? You've 18 years old, you've been incarcerated, you know, for a number of years. You're a little older now, getting out. What do you foresee as being a challenge for you?
These 8 years that I've been incarcerated, I've never fully dealt with what's taking place in its entirety. I've been reliving that day over and over and over again for numerous of years. I'm seeking some type of therapy. When I was going through my court case, I said something to the child's father. And little did I know how true a ring for not only myself as well. That despite what happened, I sat there and I projected it. I said, you're going to have to deal with this for the rest of your life. Not even realize I was pointing the finger back at myself. And it hurts. It truly does hurt.
So, that's interesting that you would say that, because I am interested to know, you started giving the police a couple of different stories initially, right? What made you finally tell the truth?
Forgive me, the screen blacked out.
Okay.
When I found out how bad things were, like I said, I've never spoken my truth until this very moment. And people may find it hard to believe. I was destroyed when I found out a child was sitting right next to me. When I realized what's taking place, I was beside myself. In the midst of all the adrenaline and the anxiousness and all the chaos, I forgot. And if I would have been in my right state of mind, in my current state, I'd have pulled over. It's nothing to pull over. We wouldn't be sitting here right now.
That couldn't be a truer statement. Okay, Mr. Carey, I appreciate you answering my questions. I will say, for the record, we had a number of, I counted 19 letters of support for your parole today. All family members, friends of your family, your siblings, and it's incredible the amount of family that you have that has stood by you through this. I will say this, though, no amount of support will make you successful in the community unless you choose that path.
Absolutely.
Unless you choose the right path. I think it's very kind for your grandmother to offer to let you live with her. And, as you said yourself, you were not raised this way. And it was clear from reading the pre-sentence report that you were not. You just chose a completely different path to take. Okay, Mr. Carey, thank you. Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't really have a lot of questions. I think my two colleagues have really asked, most of the questions, and in your opening statement, which was a very well done, well written, well presented opening statement, answered a lot of the questions that I already had. I also wanted to acknowledge all the support letters that you did get in your favor from many family members, and also I think from the proof of verification about a job upon your release. Thank you for your statement, and we're going to move on.
So, Mr. Carey, we are all done with our question portion of the hearing today. We will now hear from the Office of Victim Services. Mr. Jesus? Good morning.
Good morning, board members. I do have the victim's mother on the line, as well as the victim's grandmother via Microsoft Teams. This is your opportunity to express to the board your wishes and your concerns. I am to remind you that you are to address the panel members only, and you.
Hi, I'm the father. Can you hear me? I'm the father, Brandon Little.
Yes,
I've been here
sorry,
too.
I didn't read. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you were there. My apologies.
Yeah, I'm here. All right.
You may begin one at a time.
I'm his mother, Brianna Samuel. I feel like when you made a decision, basically when you were in the car and everybody begged you to stop. My son didn't even get to go to school. My son didn't get to have a life or start a life. I don't feel like it's sincere. Normally I know when something's sincere. I don't feel like it's sincere. And not only that, you broke my family apart. You could never make up the innocent for a child that did not have anything to do with anything. I feel like the only reason why you feel like you changed is because you behind bars. But if you wasn't, was you making that change before when they begged you? You should have felt sincere when they begged you. Not only that, because you behind there, there's a difference from being free and being locked up. When you locked up, you got no choice, or you ain't going nowhere. I don't even want to speak anymore. Brandon can speak as they get to.
Can I speak? I'm the grandmother. Can I speak? May I? I understand, but my grandson, who was 4 years old, will never get the opportunity. As she said, he didn't even have a chance to even make it to school. He had not. It just had not happened. I'm saying. I'm sitting here thinking, like, what would you have? Would you have still made the change? I understand he said life is precious. Well, my grandson's life was precious too. And I understand that life is precious, but did you think about that? You were 18 years old. You had the chance to make the right decision, a conscious decision, you said. You had that chance to make that right decision, but you chose the wrong decision. That was your choice. We all have a choice in life. I'm his grandmother. I'm 58. And I'm a pastor. We have a choice to choose heaven or hell. It's our choice between God. We have that choice. God gives us that choice. If we choose the other route, then that's us, because we chose that route. But we have a choice. And he should have wanted to, he said to pull over. At that point, you had that choice also to do that. And you made the choice to know, I'm going to keep going. I've heard the stories, and I don't know. But, this is how I feel. And again, it still hurt because it's like, well, we live in this all over again, and we go through this every year, but because of God, he gets us through it, and he comforts us, and he gets us through it. And this year was even harder. Way before the call came, it was hard, and then all of a sudden, this call came out of nowhere. So we were already doing it from Thanksgiving until my birthday was Saturday, and the funeral was the day before my birthday. So every year, this year, we feel it every year, but for some reason, the urge was so stronger. And then right after that, the call came through, and it was so shocking to us that right now it's like we living this thing all over again. And again, I don't know how true, I heard other people saying that his dad is going to the graveyard and stuff, and he's sleeping there. That hurts. He's sleeping there as if, Jai would get up and say, hey, Dad, I'm right here. That hurts. That man lays next to that baby. He lays there because he knows that he will never see that baby again. The only thing we have is pictures to look at, and then other videos where, he's laughing and statements that he made before that day, and the kiss that he blew, at me before he left. Like he knew, babies know they have intuition too with God, But again, we still be living that all over again every year. It's not a minute that day does not go by that we don't relive that. I mean, that's what everybody, but still, we relive that all the time. He was only 4 years old, and I don't think 8 years is enough.
Hello?
Thank you. Brianna, can you mute on your end, please? Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Little.
I don't agree with this at all. From the time everything took place, it's like I begged you, like multiple times. Like I begged him multiple times, screaming at him. Nigga, the dudes in the back seat kept screaming to go, go, go. I'm screaming, stop this car, let me and my son out. Now you're on the highway. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have an option at this point. For me, I had to secure my son. And I put him in the seat with me. And I had to put the seatbelt around both of us. And I did the best I could to save my child. I sat in the car with him, and I took the blame for this. News put it out as I was the driver, and I had to go through this process. Attack, slanders, bashed. Can't put a dime on his headstone. I can't add, change, arrange, nothing. I don't even have rights to the child, and I'm still paying child support for. Still paying the state back for today. $15 out of every check for a child that I've been sitting here missing 8 years for. This shit, 8 years is not enough for a life. For a life. And you in jail. Listen, I've been in jail. When you go up for parole, these parole hearings, this is why y'all give repeated criminals opportunity, not a second chance. Because there's people in there that's doing time, and they're teaching these people what to say to you guys, so you could grant them these paroles. And then they get out there, and then they get done, and they either violate the parole, or they end up coming back for something totally different. But this is a repeated criminal. He's been a scam artist. He's been a smooth talker. From the time he was introduced to me, he's been a smooth talker, and he's smooth talking. Yeah, I don't believe none of this shit. He's mature because he had no choice, but he's sitting in a cell with nothing but a daily routine. That job ain't no real inspiration. That job is a routine. This is what he has to do. Now give him the freedom in the world to see if he's going to do what he has to do, or is he going to do what he wants to do. How the hell am I going to tell somebody to drive slow on a chase from the cops? He's still fucking lying.
Excuse me, sir.
Oh, they told me to drive slow. He didn't. He said he told me that I told him to drive
Excuse
slow. How
me.
the hell am I going to tell somebody to
Excuse me,
drive slow in a police station?
Mr. Little,
Mr. Little,
Mr. Little, I need
Mr.
you to address the panel members, please.
yeah,
And not
and
fair.
thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry. This is my son.
Are you done?
I'm done.
All right. My name is Sheila Little, and I just wrote what I needed to say, only because I know I'm going to get emotional, and I needed to get everything out. I know I addressed you at court at your hearing, and I really was trying to forgive you at that time, because I am a godly person, but I saw absolutely no remorse when we were at court. I didn't know who you were from Adam, never heard who Tyler Carey was. I'll never forget who he is because of this. So, again, I'm one of the grandmothers. You know, at the time the incident occurred, I was living in North Carolina. I was already fighting a serious battle. I had just come down with breast cancer. So I just thought, you know, I have to fight. I have to live for my kids. I especially have to live for my grandkids. They were my world. I can tell you, me and Jai, we had our thing, and we just, you know what I'm saying, we just vibed on each other. We just loved on each other. I loved him with everything in me. I probably love my grandkids more than my kids at this point. So 2 months after receiving my breast cancer diagnosis, now I have to hear about this, you know, and this was unnecessary. I received the horrible news that he had been in a car accident, and it was an unnecessary car chase, which led to the accident that could have easily been prevented. Even at 18, you knew enough to steal cars. You knew enough to stop a car. This was not something that someone should have taught you. This is something that you knew it was wrong. And then when you got the car, when you picked Brianna up and Brandon or whatever in the car, you didn't tell them that this car was stolen from what they're telling me. You didn't tell them that the car was stolen. I don't know, but this is what came to me. Either way, my grandson was in that car. And when you dropped Brianna off at work and you all left and that officer got behind you, you knew at that moment you should have stopped that car. You looked at my grandson. You looked in his face and you didn't stop the car. This is common sense. You looked at him. You knew what you were doing. And it was all about you, Tyler, at this time. It was about you and getting away from the police. So even though I know you say you're 18, you're 26 now, at 18, you knew I could possibly endanger this kid. You did not take the time to even say, listen, man, let me let you and your kid get out. I'm going to speed off after this. Let my kid out. You didn't do that. And so as a result, all these years later, we are still feeling the wrath of what you did to us. Now, I'm glad to hear that you are rehabilitating yourself and this, that, and the other. But again, like Brandon said, and I've known people that's been in jail, people do and say what they want to do and say to get out. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, let me just say this, I'll say anything to get out. Now, I remember my son telling me, because he also was in jail because of a warrant for not going to court for something with an ex-girlfriend. But I remember him calling me and saying that you threatened him to say, my grandson is not going to be the only one that's 6 feet under, because you got upset because he told what happened. This was his child. He was supposed to tell what happened. And then you threaten him while you're in jail, saying that he's going to be 6 feet under with my grandson. I guess I don't even know how you even explain that. But that was not right. It wasn't right for you to say that to him. You know what I'm saying? We live with this pain every single day. I live with this pain every day. My granddaughter, who was 9 at the time, when I tell you her and Jairus was just 2 peas in a pod, you destroyed her. You destroyed her. When we talk, she's 16 now. And when we talk about Jai, I see the look in her face. She's so sad. She'll get up and she'll walk off and she'll close her door. She won't talk about him. Anytime I give her a gift at Christmas, it always is something significant than Jai. And every year she cries. Every year. And so she has been going through this. She knows what death is. She can't go to the cemetery. I go home. I could barely make it to the cemetery. I just feel like I hear him saying, Nani, Nani, Nani. I'll never have these moments again. You destroyed our family. You destroyed us. I mean, all you had to do, Tyler, was stop. There's no reason. And everything that you're saying, I'm listening to you, sincerely listening to you. But I still don't agree that you should be getting ready to get out, because you'll say and do anything to get out. All you had to do was stop the car. It wasn't hard. And then I searched your background. I didn't know you had a history of stealing cars. So it wasn't even like this was your first one. You've crashed cars before that you've stolen. You looked over at my grandson. You saw a 4-year-old in the car, and you still played God with his life, and you lost. Now, what are we supposed to do? If this was your child, if this was your family, put yourself in our shoes to know that you will never see your favorite little sister or brother again. What if your mom had been in the car and somebody had done that and your mom had lost her life? You'd be out for blood. You know, this is not fair. I mean, I just don't feel, and it's unfortunate for you, but I don't feel that you should be released. And I don't feel 15 years suspended after 10. That only makes my grandson 14. So that's all his life was worth. But you get to call your mom every day. You get to get ready to go home. You get to resume your life, whatever that's going to be. And we get to still sit here and cry and mourn and grieve our child. It's not fair. It's not. I mean, you didn't have a heart. You did not have a heart, man. Who could sit there and look at a child's face and say, I'm still going to do this? Who? I just don't understand. And there's nothing that can make me understand how you could have done that. So I'm sorry, but I don't agree with you being paroled. At least if it's going to be another 5 years, I think you should just stay. And congratulations to all the good things you've done. I really don't feel like this is fair. It's not fair. It's not. I'm done.
Thank you. Board members, that's all we have. I ask everyone to please mute again. Thank you.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. There was one other thing I forgot. When we were in court and he was addressing the judge, and we were looking, and when, I don't know what he was saying because he was talking so low, but I do remember him looking back at us, and I don't know what he was saying, but he smirked. And he looked at my son, and that's when my son lunged at him. But he smirked, and even at this point, 2 years later, in the courthouse being sentenced, he looked back at my son, and I looked straight in his face, and I'm just like, what's so funny? Why is he smiling? And that's when my son got up and sat, and he lunged at him. So to say that he learned 2 years later, he had not learned because apparently he didn't care. So I don't know between then and now, but I do know what I saw. No one had to tell me this. He smirked at my son. And that's saying remorse is no remorse. I didn't see it. I'm done.
Thank you, board members. Again, if everyone can please mute their devices. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Jesus, and thank you to each of the victims for coming forward and speaking. We appreciate it. We know how very, very difficult it is, but it is important to the process. So, Mr. Carey, we are done with this portion of the hearing, and we will now deliberate, and we'll give you our decision in just a few minutes. Okay. Mr. Sosakis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I did just want to recognize the victims. I did listen to everything that they said, and it's that they're going through, understandably. And moving on to this case, when I spoke to Mr. Carey, he expressed his apology and extreme remorse over and over again throughout this, in his opening statement and answering our questions. He has received a 15-year sentence. His execution is suspended after 10. And when he reaches the 85% mark by law, he's in front of us and we have to decide on his suitability for parole. So that's what we're here for today. And he's at a low risk to recidivate. He's completed his GED and many programs. During my questioning, he was able to answer specific questions about programs and explain what he had learned and how he would use that in the community. He has secured employment and he has secured somewhere to live. He has the support of many people, as you mentioned. He's not received any disciplinary as far as incarceration, which is something certainly to point out. And, based on all of the facts, about his rehabilitation and his taking account of responsibility and remorse and apologies, I'm in favor of granting parole today.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sosakis. So I echo everything that you have pointed out. I do want to elaborate on a couple of issues. So, Mr. Carey was 18. He had only just turned 18. And we do know that individuals at that age, do have difficulty making sound decisions. And it is clear from this offense that that is what was happening at the time. I think it came out through the police report, Mr. Carey's statements, and some of the information from the victims that it was a very chaotic time in the car and there was a lot happening. I did read the transcript. I did hear Mr. Carey apologize at the time of sentencing, talk about how horrible it was. I do know, as Mr. Sosakis had pointed out, Mr. Carey does not have any disciplinary reports. And I want to kind of reiterate a little bit on that because in many of cases where we see young individuals coming into prison, it is very unusual that they do not have problems coming in. Mr. Carey described himself as an angry person. It generally takes a couple of years for them to understand the magnitude of what they've done to place them incarcerated for a long period of time. And they have difficulty adhering to the rules, the schedule, and being with a lot of other inmates. So I do think in this case that the lack of disciplinary reports does speak to Mr. Carey's description of himself as understanding the gravity of what he had done and what he needed to do to be a better person, which was evidenced through all the programming that he had done. We do place a lot of value on the programs offered by the Department of Corrections because we do want them to come before the board and to explain how they think differently, how they have changed, what they have learned, and how they can take some of these tools and these skills into the community so they can be productive, law-abiding people. In Mr. Carey's case, I'm hopeful that he will make some atoning for his situation and that he will go out to speak to the young individuals because we do have an epidemic of stolen cars and the consequences of those stolen cars. This is, it does not get any worse than this. The victims are right. No matter what sentence, no matter how long Mr. Carey is incarcerated, it will never make up for the loss of a 4-year-old child, regardless of what was happening in that car. And, you know, Mr. Carey did not have the good judgment or the sense to stop that car. And here we are today because of that. But no matter whether Mr. Carey is paroled today or 5 years or 10 years from now, the family will always feel the loss of that child. Mr. Carey has 18 months to his end of sentence, so he would be on parole for that period of time, and then he would have 5 years of probation to follow that. So there is a lot of supervision in the community. There's a lot of opportunity for Mr. Carey to take advantage of services to assist him in becoming a productive member of the community and being able to give back. As was pointed out, he has a lot of support in the community. He has a place to live. He has a job to go to. We don't often see both of those together. So I do think that there is, that speaks to Mr. Carey's ability to be successful in the community if he chooses. I do think that Mr. Carey has shown himself to be suitable for parole today. And I also would vote in favor of his, of granting discretionary parole. Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I first want to acknowledge the victims in this particular case, and I do have a deep understanding of the sorrow and the loss that they're feeling at this particular moment. I fully do understand that. And I appreciate them coming on to be able to share the information that they shared in this particular case. But I agree with my colleagues. I mean, Mr. Carey has done a lot of work on himself in these last 8 years. Participation in the program, as folks have already talked about, my colleagues have talked about already, the fact that he's taken responsibility and appeared very remorseful throughout this process that we did this morning. The fact that he has incredible support in the community from the 19 letters that we got, a variety of family members, including the job verification that we got on his particular behalf. It was a very impulsive thing. He was very young at this point happening. It seemed like there was a lot of chaotic things going on at the time. I would also be in favor of his vote today.
Thank you. So conditions?
No driving.
Absolutely no driving.
Without the parole officer's permission.
Correct.
Mental health evaluation and treatment.
Deemed necessary.
Yeah.
I know he's 2, but I do think an evaluation, an opportunity for support in that
He
way.
did mention that he asked for,
Exactly.
some help in that area.
And then there would be no contact with the victim's family, which I have BS, DL, and SL, who all spoke today. And it goes without saying that, you know, there's no contact with the co-defendant, who's the victim's father, but he's also no contact in the victim. So, all right. So in the matter of Tyler Carey, 415-560, there's a motion to grant parole on or after May 26, 2025, with the following conditions. Mental health evaluation and treatment as deemed necessary. No operation of a motor vehicle without the parole officer's permission. No contact with the victim's family. That's BS, BL, and SL. And it goes without saying no contact with the co-defendant, who is Brandon Little. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This concludes the hearing for Tyler Carey, number 415-560. Mr. Carey, you've been granted parole, so you are all set on 5/26/25.
Thank you.
All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Carey.
Thank you very much.
Go out in the community and make a difference.
I absolutely will.
Okay, good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just put the.
Sure, we're all set with you, but I'm gonna stay on for a second because I do have to continue, one guy. So I will disconnect when I'm done, if that's okay.
I put your input.
Oh, you want me to, I could disconnect on our side if you want.
No, even if you could leave it on, because I have to do a continuance and it's gotta be live streamed, so if you could just leave it on for a second.
Okay, I'll just, mute it then.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
I hope I think the price you say the victim's family spoke and he's.
Good morning, my name is Parole Officer Mccrae. Today is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. A hearing was scheduled for Shaun Mccrae, number 350537. It's my understanding that this case will be continued to a later date. Turn it over to Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yes, so in the matter of Shaun Mccrae, inmate 350537, I make a motion to continue this hearing to the next available date for him. He's been transferred to a different facility. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, can I take a short break?
Yes, you can. You okay?
Whoever you have first.
And I'm not blaming her, but there was a
No.
lot
Lot
of things happening there.
Good morning. Who are you guys seeing first?
It doesn't matter, whoever you have is fine.
Change the path of this before this.
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't matter whoever you have first is fine.
We sent all of the guys back, so it's gonna take a minute. We had them down here waiting for an hour, but nobody got on, so we didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, I sent an email yesterday about you guys going second. I had to do Cheshire first, so sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whenever they're ready, yeah, that's fine.
All right. Yep.
Thank you.
I think that's fine.
Good morning, Mr. Ekinci.
Good morning.
All right, you have your parole hearing today. Are you ready for it?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Mccrae. Today is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. And this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record, certify that they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available for any information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Morning.
Good morning, Robert Sazowskis.
Good morning, panel member Rodriguez.
Great, sir, can you please state your name and inmate number for the record?
Furkan Ekinci, 414011.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Furkan Ekinci, number 414011. He is serving a sentence of 5 years, execution suspended after 4 years, and 5 years probation for assault second and interfering with an officer. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of 6/24 of 25. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that the offender has not completed any programs. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the high range risk for recidivism. Mr. Ekinci, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Before my 4-year sentence, I went to a JRI program and I completed and I got released to my dad's house. And then I got violated on a low, tiny misdemeanor bond, such as like $100. And police gave me promise to appear. And the other one was another low misdemeanor bond that there was not even no touching that I got arrested for. And before the 4-year sentence, they dismissed everything except the original charge that I got released from a JRI program that I'm doing 4 years for right now. And so far, I have no tickets, no behavioral tickets whatsoever. And my parole day, my eligible parole day is 6 months from now. And I talked to the counselor to put me in a program. So I'm gonna hopefully get a completion of a program before how many hearing dates we'll have. And my mom said most likely I can go with her, and I'll be 30 years old by the time I get out anyways. I'm not at risk of any danger to myself or anybody. All these days, places I've been to, I'm perfectly fine. I have no tickets. And the thing that I got released for 8 months, I'm doing 4 years for now. And the 2 violations that I got arrested for, misdemeanors, one of them, police gave me promise to appear, $100 bond. And the other one, there was not even no touching. So and I'm doing 4 years for the things that I got dismissed, that I got violated for. I have no behavioral tickets that I've been here. So far, I'm gonna get the group that you guys were talking about before the June day. And even if you guys don't grant me, this is my first time being sentenced on a parole thing. And I'll be free within 3 months anyways for good time that I'm getting 4 days each month. So I'll be free 3 months after my parole day on my own anyways, if you guys don't grant it to me. I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm perfectly fine. I don't know.
Okay. So, Mr. Ekinci, I appreciate all that you provided us, all that information and why you think you're suitable for parole. We're going to be asking you some questions. Okay. And then we will deliberate and give you our decision. So, okay. So let's start with, so you're charged with assault second and interfering with an officer. You got in a physical fight with your brother.
Yes.
Is that right? Were you using alcohol or marijuana at the time?
No, I was perfectly sober, and I'm perfectly sober. There was, my mom sent me the keys to the house. The house was completely empty all those days. Like the doors are locked. My brother doesn't even have the keys to the house. My brother lives in a different location, and I've been there for like 20, 30 days. They just come for boredom or just to, just like, I don't know, they're older than me. So like, and I got mad for it. And there's no blood, empty hits. I'll stop there. No bruise on his face, no blood, nothing deadly. Nothing deadly.
Okay, let me ask another question. So they charged you with assault second. They said the police report says that you had a box cutter and you slashed his arm and that you hit him with a big stick. Do you recall doing that?
No, no, I never had anybody with nothing. He jumped to the neighbor's yard, and I just threw, but it didn't hit him. Like it didn't touch the wood on the ground, and there's not like he's too far. It didn't even touch him whatsoever.
Okay, how did he get cut then?
I don't know. Maybe once he jumped, like he was walking, he was perfectly fine. But no bruise, no blood, nothing, nothing. Just simple empty hits. If I wanted to hit him, I would have broke his nose or something. Like a simple assault or misdemeanor. And the police comes. The police comes. I'm start swearing because I'm being arrested for my own residence. Like the house empty. The house empty all those days.
Mr. Ekinci, let's kind of. I need you to settle down just a little bit, okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to clear myself to you guys.
I understand you're, you want to get your point across, and we're going to let you do that. Don't worry about that. But we do need to ask some questions, so we can make a determination about how today's session should end, today's hearing. All right. So I understand that you dispute hitting your brother with a stick and slashing his arm. You do have a history, though, of getting into arguments with your family. Is that correct?
Just simple. Like they just made it a habit of calling the police on simple things. Like out of a couple of days, maybe in a 1 minute situation, they call the police and I get arrested. Like and nobody's hurt. Everybody's okay. The first time the police come to arrest me and they're home all laughing at me, like some stupid stuff.
So, but you also are charged with interfering. Did you lock yourself in the house when the police were there and refused to come out?
I'm inside the house. The door's open the whole time, and then the police tell me to step outside. I open the door, and I guess they can't come inside the house until I step outside on my own. And then they have to get a warrant, whoever they called, and then they came in 10 minutes later. And no drugs on me, no weapon, and only my clothes are in the house. Like all those days I've been in the house, I went outside buying gas to the stores. Nothing happens, but my brother comes out of boredom, locks the door, so I get mad, natural anger, and he calls the police on me. Nobody's hurt, nobody's bleeding. Everybody's okay since this whole time I've been here. Okay, let me move on now. So now you've been incarcerated for a little bit. You've been participating in some mental health treatment. Is that right? No, I'm gonna attend a group before my last final parole date or whatever. I'm waiting to be in a group so I can get one completion. I don't know how this parole thing exactly works, but
okay, all right.
This
So
is the first one, right?
I want to stop you for a second. So you haven't taken any programs, but the only thing you have is voices and to get a job. Is that right?
Excuse me, say it again. I didn't hear you.
Did they talk to you about taking the Voices program?
What is that?
It's a program about how you manage and feel about the victims and understand the harm to victims.
Oh, I don't know. I'm waiting for well, I never heard anything about that yet.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Ekinci, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more in detail about your mental health needs. So we're going to go into executive session for that. So I need you to just hold on for a couple of minutes because right now we're live streaming and we're going to go into a private setting.
Okay.
Okay. So you sit tight for a second.
Do you need to make a motion for that?
Yes. So I'm good. Thank you. So I'll make a motion that we go into executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say one more thing, if it's possible.
Yeah, Mr. Ekinci, hold on because we're going to disconnect and go back on, and then we'll talk a little bit more freely because I do want to ask you a few specific questions.
Yes.
Okay.
This person coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we need to get Paroles.
Mr. Ekinci, could you ask the officer to come in the room for a moment?
In here?
Yes.
Yes, please.
They want you to come here for a second. I don't know why, but
Hello.
Hello.
Morning.
Good morning. The board would like to go into executive session to speak with him for a few minutes. So I'm going to disconnect you and then call you back on a new call off the live stream in just a moment. So when that pop-up comes, if you can just hit accept, press accept to join that call.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
See Dr. Walker come in. Probably could have skipped executive session.
Right now.
Here we go.
Folks should do.
We are now back on the record in the case of Furkan Ekinci, number 414-011. Madam Chair.
Thank you. So, Mr. Ekinci, I want to talk to you just lastly about your release plan. So you told the parole officer that basically you're homeless, so you need help with a halfway house?
No, I did not say I was homeless.
Okay, do you want to go to a halfway house then? Is that what you want to do?
My main goal is I just wanted to hear if you guys are gonna release me on my own, or else I'm gonna be free on my own within 3 months anyways, after the June parole release date. But my thing I'm trying to say, bring up is if I'm gonna be released on June to, I talked to my mom, I'm not sure, she said yes, but unless she changes her mind. The thing is that I'm trying to bring up is that I got released in 8 months. 8 months to think that I'm doing 4 years for right now. And the prosecutor, the police prosecutor offer was 2.5 years. And
okay,
I did not
Mr.
accept it.
Mr. Ekinci, we're not going to go back and talk about what the prosecutor offered. What I'm trying to determine from you is when you're all done, when you get released, what are you going to do? Do you need us to talk about a halfway house?
No, I don't want to deal with no core programs or nothing like that. You guys get stuck up on a stupid website of an opinion whoever wrote of a 1 minute situation that they think or this. I want to be cut with these stupid court buildings like completely because I'm doing too much time. Okay. Too much time for something I did. Like stupid stuff that police arrest me for.
Okay, thank you.
Way too much time I'm doing for these things.
Mr. Ekinci, Mr. Rodriguez, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Sosakis?
I just have one quick question. Sir, do you think that
I'm nothing against you guys. I'm nothing against you guys. I just have to express my opinions to you guys so that you guys will somehow help me because I'm doing for an 8 month that I got released. I'm doing 4 years for I could have done 2.5 to the police prosecutor's offer, and like the judge gives me a year and an extra for the plea bargain that I didn't accept, and they dismissed the stupid bond, the stupid $100 bond amounts. Like
you've explained those things to us. We heard you, and we're going to take into consideration all the things that you've said. So we're listening. We hear you. Okay. Do you think that you've changed it all since you've been in prison? Do you think you've changed it all?
Just my family members, you know, like I'm the outside nothing happens.
I'm not asking you about your family members. I'm asking about you. You as a person, are you different now than you were when you came to prison? Can you answer that?
Yes, I'm perfectly good. I'm good. I'm normal. I'm perfectly good. Not harassed anybody. All these years I've been here, I'm perfectly fine. You know.
Okay.
My main objection. Sorry, sir. My main objection. Sorry, sir. My main objection is to be out of here as soon as I can.
All right. So we're now going to talk about your case. So please listen, but do not interrupt.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Ekinci, he has no disciplinary reports to his credit. I think the struggle is that he still requires services and to help him be successful in the community. I'm not sure that we see fender change in terms of finding him suitable for parole today. He does have a history of this type of behavior with other family members, and I think there's still a little bit more work to be done in the facility. So I do not find him suitable for parole today.
Madam Chair, I would agree as well. I do not find him suitable either for basically the same reason. I don't see any offender change at this particular point in time. You could probably utilize more programs, but I don't even hear the motivation to be able to do that. So
yeah, and he can't articulate any semblance of a release plan.
Yeah, I agree. Or like the facts of what took place in this case here. It's a difficult struggle to get through, but I agree with what both of you said.
So in the matter of Furkan Ekinci, 414011, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: inadequate evidence of offender change and inadequate release plan. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Ekinci, we could not vote you to parole today. We need you to work with mental health providers to get yourself in a position to be released in the community with services.
I thought my thing was June 24, 2025, wasn't it?
That was your parole date, yes. But we did not parole you today.
So is there gonna be another date that I'm gonna meet with you guys or something, or?
No, you're all done with us for today. Now you'll have to wait for release from the Department of Corrections.
Oh, okay.
All righty?
This concludes the hearing for Furkan Ekinci, number 414011.
Good luck.
Okay.
Yeah, they can see you with your email.
All right.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
Vincent Bhageloo?
Vincent Bhageloo. I'll be right with you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Do you need him to step out or he's fine sitting there?
He's fine sitting there. We'll be right with him in a few minutes.
Okay, also, if, I know you guys have one more guy to see. If it's after 12, it would have to wait until the count clears.
Okay, we'll make it before 12.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, good morning, Mr. Bhageloo. This is Parole Officer Michaluzzi. Are you ready for your parole hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, perfect. Good morning, my name is Parole Officer Michaluzzi. Today is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. And this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record, certify that they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, Deborah Smith-Palmieri.
Good morning, Robert Sazowskis.
Good morning, panel member Rodriguez.
Good
Sir,
morning
can you
to
say
you all.
Sir, can you just say your name and inmate number for the record?
Vincent Bhageloo, and my inmate number is 416960.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Vincent Bhageloo, number 416960. He is serving a sentence of 10 years, execution suspended after 3 years, and 3 years probation for attempt to commit robbery second. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of April 2nd of 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that the offender has not completed any programs, but he holds a facility job as a barber. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range risk for recidivism. Mr. Bhageloo, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin, sir.
I think I should be granted parole because I'm ready to get back out into society and I'm wrong for the crimes that I committed. I was actually under the influence of drugs at the time. And I've got quite an amount of clean time being in prison. And I'd like to get back out and get to work, go to church, volunteer, and just be there for my family.
Okay, Mr. Bhageloo, thank you very much for that. We're going to be asking you some questions. When we're done with our questioning, we'll deliberate and we'll give you our answer about parole today.
All right, yes, ma'am.
Okay, any questions about that?
Nope.
Excellent. Okay, Mr. Rodriguez is going to begin with the questions this morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Bhageloo, I want to get right to the issue, right? The issue is your substance abuse, you said, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And yet, you haven't taken any programs. What's been the problem with that?
I actually haven't looked into taking any programs while I was in prison. It's not that it's an issue, it's just I didn't know that they were available.
Well, they are part of your OAP, right? You have an addiction services and voices, 2 major programs, right? Especially based on your offense.
Okay.
So is there a reason why you didn't look into that?
There's really not a reason at all. Since I've been in prison, I've just been trying to just keep a positive mind state and keep my mind busy. So I've really been keeping to myself. I haven't been following up with what's going on out there.
Yeah, that's really a good thing, but you rate a 5, which is the highest substance abuse score you can get.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Did you realize that? I mean, the drugs that you were using?
I was actually clean before I came to prison for about a year. But prior to the time that I got those charges were back in 2019. At that time, I was under the influence. I've been to a rehab facility prior to that, though.
I know. I read that in your document, but you also had some issues where you relapsed.
Yeah.
What were some of the triggers around your relapse?
I actually went back and started hanging around the same crowd of friends. So that'd be something different. I don't plan on hanging out at all this time around. Taking my life very serious.
Well, that's a positive thing. I mean, that's an important thing, but I still have that concern. I know that back in November of 23, you had some things going on. You had quite a few disciplinary reports just in that one period of time. Can you share what was happening at that point?
So it's my first time being in prison, and
the guys in here were picking at me, and at times I reacted in the wrong way. When I should have thought it through, but it was impulsive reactions. But I haven't gotten in trouble for almost a year now.
Yeah, it's been over a year now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you haven't had any problems. What's the difference?
Well, at this facility, I feel like the inmates are more separated. It's not like more in a population environment. And I've met some really good people, pretty much. It's just the individuals that you meet. Dealing with 100 different personalities every day isn't easy.
I'm sure. It's very challenging.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about what your thinking is, since you haven't taken any programs, and that I have to be honest with you, that concerns me, right? That you haven't taken any programs.
Yeah.
Because we kind of look for folks, especially with this high number in your substance abuse score, to take some programming around addiction services, and you haven't done that. What's your thinking about when you're released? How will you handle the situation with being in recovery? You're clean now, you say, right? How are you going to handle that when you're out?
I've got a really strong family support system, and I'm really strong with my religion, Christianity. So I'd be in church every weekend as well as trying to keeping myself busy. I hope I get a job when I get out.
But no prospects of a job yet, right?
No,
Have you done any work around looking for work?
Currently in the jail, I'm a barber. But when I get out,
yeah.
But
how
when I get out,
how long have you been doing that?
I started cutting hair when I was 15 years old, and I've been doing it in this prison for about 3-4 months now.
Any thoughts about continuing that occupation on the outside, getting a license?
Absolutely.
That's something you want to do?
For sure.
What's your support system look like on the outside? You said you have strong support. Tell me what that looks like.
I've got my mother, my father, and my 2 sisters. As well as I've got a large family, my grandmother. They all support me and push me into moving forward and reminding me every day that it's all in your mind. You have to be strong enough mentally to.
Is your plan to go to a halfway house? Is that what you're thinking you're going to want to do?
So I actually have my mother's house to go back to. She'd sponsor me, but if that doesn't work, I'm open to go into a halfway house.
Have you had that discussion with your mother?
Yes, I have.
She's agreed to do that?
Yes, she has.
Okay. You don't mention any kind of programming when you're coming out. You didn't talk about any of programming in your release plan. Which I think part of it is not having connected with any programs inside, because maybe they would have connected you with some things on the outside, like if you did C-CAR on the inside, or if you found some sort of sponsor on the inside.
I think NA meetings would be fine. Going to some NA meetings or AA meetings.
Was alcohol one of your main problems?
Yes, it was.
You had a variety of other drugs, right?
Yes, as well.
Well, I mean, separate from the DRs that you got in November, I see that you didn't get any. You don't have an extensive prior history at any point. Did you study plumbing and heating?
Yes, while I was in high school at Carey Technical High School.
Yeah. Yep. How far did you get with that?
I actually, when I graduated high school, I did that because my father wanted me to do that. He was just like, there's a whole lot of money in the AC industry. You should go into it, do plumbing and heating. So I followed through with that. And I never really worked for somebody in a personal company, but I've I've helped around the house. My parents have rental property, so they've restored boilers and done a lot of water main systems in the house. So I've helped out with that.
You were working at the time of the arrest?
Say that again?
You were working at the time of your arrest?
Yes, I was.
Well, I have to be honest, I still have some concerns about you not taking any programming. Especially with a score of 5. I want to pass it on to my colleagues and hear what they have to say and see what questions they have to ask.
All
And
right.
then I'm going to reserve any other additional questions I might have at this point. But I want to thank you for answering my questions. And I
No
wish you a lot
problem.
of luck. I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you so much as well.
Mr. Staskis?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, so you look good. I mean, you're answering our questions, and when I read those disciplinary reports and what happened, I was concerned about this, how I was going to go today. But you look like you turned the corner, and things are different now for you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's a credit to you, regardless of what happens today. You seem to have figured it out. You know what I mean? How to manage that lifestyle. When you go back to live with your mother, is she in the same place, the same house where you were before?
She is.
Right.
She is.
Are you concerned about that at all, being back in that exact same environment where all this was taking place before?
So back in 2019 was when I was actually using the drugs, and I was actually under the influence very hard. But prior to my arrest, I was already clean for a year.
I understand that, but my experience with addiction is that some people will go 5-10 years, and then it just, one day it happens, it relapses. And, in your history, I do see that's happened to you. So that's why we're asking a lot of these questions. That's our concern, is that we want to make sure you're prepared to handle the stresses and the things that are going to happen when you're inserted back into that same exact community that you came from.
Environment. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I don't think it's going to be an issue at all, man. I've definitely learned my lesson being in prison for 3 years long.
Yeah. I can hear that in your voice.
Want to come back.
Yeah, I think I hear that in your voice. My concern is the addiction, and that we're not properly giving you, a fair opportunity to take the programs that you need so that you're prepared to be successful. You know what I mean? We want you to be successful when you're out. Just going back to this incident that happened, the attempted robbery. Had you ever done anything like that? Had you ever done anything like that before?
Never.
Did you take the kitchen knife with you, thinking that I'm going to try to go get money?
I did.
Okay. And were you not working during that time and you didn't have any money? And is that what was going on?
I was actually working, but I didn't have any money at the time to support my habit. Yeah.
And had you already been getting money from your family and everything, and that wasn't working anymore?
Well, I never really asked my family for the money. I would usually just support my own habit. It was just that one day it was really bad. And I did something that was just like I would never do.
Well, it sounds like when they confronted you, you just ran away. Is that what happened?
Exactly. That is what happened.
Yeah. You see how that situation could have really gone differently. Really could have gone bad. You put yourself in a very, very dangerous situation. If either of those people had been legally armed, and you presented a knife to them, you would have been in serious, serious trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Or if a police officer approached you after that, during that, and you had a knife, this would be a very different scenario.
Absolutely. I'd be looking at a lot of time.
Yeah, or someone could have been killed, So it's very, very dangerous behavior, what you were doing. And and it all seems to be based on addiction, like my colleague said. You do seem to be doing better, but I am also concerned. I know you said you were clean before that, but really like to see someone, complete one of these programs in a facility. And I know you had some DRs, and that probably set you back from programming a little bit. You may not realize that, but people don't normally get programs if they're in the middle of dealing with all of these disciplinary issues, you know what I mean? So they want you to be, but you've resolved that and moved past that now. So, how do you think you've changed since you come to the facility, since you've been incarcerated? How are you different now?
It's humbled me down so much, and made me be so much grateful of my freedom, my family, being able to have a choice and a decision on the outside. It makes you realize a lot while being incarcerated.
Okay. Right, sir. Those are all the questions I had. My colleague asked the other questions I was going to ask, so I'm going to pass it along, and we'll see where we go from here. Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So Mr. Bhageloo, we talked a little bit about your disciplinary reports, and they are in a short period of time. Now you've been meeting with you've been getting some services to help you, with those behaviors. How do you feel today?
I feel good.
You feel good?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And how do you feel about continuing with these types of services in the community?
Absolutely, 100%.
And have you thought about or looked into any places that could be helpful?
Places as in, like, can you explain that?
Like we talk about drug treatment, a lot of people talk about being duly diagnosed, needing, some therapy and substance abuse treatment all in one. Have you looked at anything like that?
No, not yet. Not at the moment.
Okay. Do you think those types of treatments will be necessary for you in the community?
I'm open to it.
Well, I'm open to it, but do you think that you need them?
Truthfully, I'd say it'll help me, but I don't think that I need them.
Okay, well, you're getting some help at the facility right now, which seems to have helped you get out of that whole cycle of the problem behaviors you are having.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that the help you're getting at the facility is necessary to live successfully and productively in the community?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So why don't you think that you'd want to continue with treatment in the community?
Well, I do want to continue with the treatment that I follow through with, or that I'm taking right now in this prison. Yes.
Okay.
I didn't get the question. I didn't understand it too well. Sorry about that.
Okay. So, we're live streaming, so I don't want to get, we're kind of, the public. So I don't want to get into too much information about your own, about the services, specifics. I'm just interested. I know that you were identified and you've been meeting with people at the facility, which has helped you. And I'm interested to know if you want to continue that in the community.
Yes, I do.
You do.
Yes,
Why do you think it's important to continue it in the community?
To maintain my sobriety, to be in the right state of mind, to be able to make the best choice and decision at that moment, and as well as having a good perception.
Okay. You talked with my colleague about having done some treatment, some substance abuse treatment prior to coming into prison. So when you finish that treatment, you must have had to put together some type of a relapse prevention plan. Do you recall doing that?
I did.
Okay. Do you recall what you had?
So I went to rehab out in Florida, and then I went to a sober living home after that. And after the sober living home, it was a Christian-based sober living home. So everything was planned around was AA and Christian-based. So it was pretty much church, attending AA meetings. We'd have groups with other men during the week, as well as just doing positive activities, keeping ourselves busy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a different way of living.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. And harken back, because I think for me it's important to get an understanding of how you're feeling about about what you need to live in the community. So are you happy with the mental health treatment you're getting at Garner?
I am.
Okay. And do you think that type of treatment would be helpful for you to live successfully in the community?
Absolutely.
Okay. You want to live with your mother, but did you have an arrest with your mother not too long ago?
It was like way back a while. I think we had a domestic, but me and my mother, she's my best friend. I was younger, I was immature, a little rebellious at the time.
Okay. How old are you now, Mr. Bhageloo?
30 years old.
You're 30. You're a young 30-year-old man. Okay. All right. All right. Well, I appreciate you answering my questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll now deliberate about your case, and you can listen, and then we'll give you our answer in just a few moments.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This case got a little difficult this morning, and we have a young man who sounds really good right now. I mean, we read about him, but what we read and what I'm hearing today a little bit different than what I've read. I'm kind of mixed because he hasn't taken the kind of program I would like to see him take based on the number for his substance abuse score and some of the drugs that he was involved with. But he's, currently compliant with the things that are going on. He hasn't had any tickets in the last year. He seems to have pulled that together. His parole eligibility isn't until April anyway. He could probably get into some positive program between now and then before he comes out. So I think at this moment, I'm in favor of his parole today.
Thank you. And Mr. Slisauskas?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, yeah, I share the same concern as my colleague about the substance abuse program. By reviewing the records and understanding what he was going through, I could see how he wasn't able to take that. And we're just talking about a 4-month window, and then he will be on probation after that. So those support and services offered during that 4 months could help him. Just offer some additional support before he moves to the probation level. And he has taken drug treatment in the past in the community, and he was sober out in the community on bond before he came into the facility. There were no other crimes during that time, as far as I'm reading here. So I would also support his parole today.
And I would agree with both my colleagues. I think we all share the concern about his substance abuse score. However, I do think that there were some other things going on with his mental health needs that took precedent. I am giving him some credits for the treatment that he had prior to coming in. And I'm hopeful that Mr. Bhageloo will continue with services in the community because they truly are in his best interest to live successfly. So did you have a date of April 22nd or April 2nd?
Or 2/25.
Or 2, okay. And for conditions, gentlemen?
Definitely no contact with victim. But if he goes stay with his mother, we're not sure. I would go to a halfway house just in case.
Just in case, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm to mental health.
Mental health treatment with medication compliance.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? No co-defendants? Oh, okay. So in the matter of Vincent Bhageloo, 416-960, I make a motion to grant parole on or after April 2nd, 2025 with the following stipulations. Halfway house placement if needed, mental health treatment with medication compliance, and no contact with the victim BD. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Bhageloo, we wish you the best of luck. Congratulations, you've been granted parole.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much to you all.
You're welcome.
All right, this concludes the hearing for Vincent Bhageloo, number 416-960. All right, you're all set, sir. Good luck.
All right, have a good one. To you all, God bless.
Hello, Mr. Lawrence. Are you ready for your poll hearing?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
All right, we'll be right with you, okay?
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Mccrae. Today is Wednesday, December 11th, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Parole. Following board members are present this morning by stating their names on the record, certify that they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Good morning, Robert Sazowskis.
Good morning, Panama Rodriguez.
Good morning.
Sir, can you please state your name and inmate number for the record?
Roshawn Lawrence, 435-046.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Roshawn Lawrence, number 435046. He is serving a sentence of 2 years, 6 months, and 3 years probation for a violation of probation. Underlying charges of unlawful restraint second, criminal trespass first, violation of a protective order, also interfering with an officer, and assault third. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of 8/18 of 24. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows that the offender is currently participating in domestic violence and he holds a facility job. Utilizing this statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender falls within the moderate range risk for recidivism. Mr. Lawrence, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. May begin, sir.
I believe that I've furthered myself from where I was before. I moved on. I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready for the next step in my adversity. And I feel like I will be a good candidate for parole.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. We appreciate that. We are going to ask you some questions this morning. When we're done with our questioning, we will deliberate and give you our decision about parole. Okay? You have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Excellent. All right. So Mr. Sazowskis is going to be.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
In regard to the incident in Manchester, you recall that where you punched your girlfriend in the face when you were accusing her of cheating? Do you recall that incident?
Yes, sir.
Looking back now and what you've had time to reflect on all this, how do you think you could have handled that differently?
I feel like now I learned how to speak and use my words more while I was in domestic violence class. So furthermore, I feel like I could have used my words and I could have spoke to her instead of using putting my hands on her.
Okay. All right, I read that you mentioned domestic violence. I read that you're in that. Can you tell us some more things that you've learned about that with that class? Because that's really what we're talking about today, right? So we want to make sure that you understand there's not going to be further problems.
Yes, sir. I learned a lot from that class. I learned how to, like I said, I learned how to speak and use my words. I learned that violence is not the key to the answer. It's more you can speak about, you can speak and use your words more than violence.
Do they talk about sometimes taking a break maybe in the middle of these things, you know?
Yeah.
You think that could help you if you were in a difficult situation or a difficult conversation that was making you angry, that you separated and took a break for a little bit and then revisited it later? Would that help you?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it will help me greatly.
You have to remember these things. At some point, you're going to get out, whether it's now or later or whatever. You have to remember these things that you learned in that domestic violence program, because we all have disagreements with people in our families, our friends, whatever. You have to be able to handle them appropriately.
Yes, sir.
And those tools, what you're describing to me, those tools, that's what you have to do when those things happen, you know? How do you think your actions have affected the victims? How do you think they feel after these things have happened to them? Someone was punched in the face and other things have happened to them.
They're traumatic. But I believe she also moved on from the situation.
Do you think that they have a hard time trusting people again?
Probably, yeah.
Right?
And I wish and I hope I don't do that ever again.
I read something about they used to do oil changes, right? On cars?
Yes, sir.
How did you learn how to do that?
I learned from the job. Basically, one of the guys in the pit, he taught me how to do it from because I was a detail person, and sometimes I would go downstairs after my details and learn how to do it.
You think that's something that you could do again when you go out into the community? There's a lot of work for that kind of work, you know?
I'm actually trying to get back into the same job that I used to work at. I believe that I will be able to get a chance to if I'm paroled.
Talk to anyone?
I haven't talked to anyone yet, but they always tell me I can come back anytime I want because I did such good work there.
And that's like a car dealership, or is it like an instant oil change place? What is it?
It's a 10-minute oil place, 10-minute oil change place.
Yeah, they're very busy, so they're always a lot of activity at those places. And then I read you requested to go to a halfway house. What's your long-term plan? After you go to a halfway house and you get a job and you're established, what's your plan for after that?
My plan is to go to college and get my EMT certification.
You started that at all?
No, not yet. It's always been a thought in my head to get my EMT certification, but I never went out and sought it. But now I'm thinking about getting it now.
Yeah, you could start with like CPR and first aid, like basic first, and then move on. EMT is, like you said, you're gonna have to go to college, so it's involved, you know? But that's a good long-term goal for yourself while you're already working, you know?
Right.
How did you get an interest in that? How is that something you've always wanted to do?
Yeah, I always wanted to help people. I like helping people. I love helping people. So I feel like I can give back to my community while doing that.
Okay. What about living? Where do you envision that you'll live after you leave the halfway house? How will that work? Are you gonna live with family or by yourself?
My aunt, I spoke to my aunt. She told me that I can live with her for a little while I get back up to my feet.
Okay, so you have some family support?
Yes.
Who else besides your aunt do you talk to from your family?
My sister and my brothers. My sisters and my brother.
Talk to them on the phone?
Yeah, I talked to them on the phone, and surprisingly, like for the first time ever, like they're very supporting now. Like now that I'm in jail, like they're more supportive of me than ever before, and I can't wait to rekindle and rebuild our relationship.
Okay. You talked to any of the victims or any of the people that were involved in any of these crimes?
No.
No.
Do I have a protection order?
Yeah. What's your job in the facility that you're doing?
I hand out the milks.
You hand out the milk in the dining hall?
Yep.
How do you like doing that?
I like it. People are very known to me now. Like they know who I am. So like, they're like, I'm the milk guy. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Is that a paid job? Do you get paid from doing that?
Yeah, I get paid $1 a day.
Okay. One of your charges is for violation of probation. You were failing to submit like DNA samples and failing to report. What was going? Do you remember that? You remember?
Yes, I do.
What was going on? You weren't able to comply with what they were asking you.
Well, at that time, I wasn't a felon, and I thought that I didn't have to supply my DNA because that's what I thought. I thought I didn't have to supply my DNA because I wasn't a felon. I didn't supply to any felonies at that time. But now that I am a felon, I know that I had to supply my DNA, and that was the biggest part of it. Like I didn't want to supply my DNA because I wasn't a felon. I knew I wasn't a felon at the time, but now that I am, I know I have to go and comply.
Did you tell them that that's why you didn't want to do it? Did you ask them to try to explain it to you? Why were they to explain why they were asking for it?
I told them and I asked them multiple times, but they just still wanted my DNA for some reason.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, when you're on parole or probation, there are lots of rules like that. You know what I'm saying? So you have to find a way to comply with them or go to court or speak to them, so that way you don't get these violations. You understand that? You're not going to, parole is pretty strict and they're going to want you to do all kinds of things. And you may say, well, why do I have to do that or whatever, but you're going to have to comply with what they say. You'll be back inside. You understand that?
Yes, I understand. And I'm very compliant.
So when you talk about going to school, that's to go to school to be an EMT, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then, I saw that you did have one disciplinary report. It was back in October. It's been over a year since then, for refusing housing. What was going on then?
Well, what happened was, when I came into prison, I had my envelope and I had a whole bunch of documents stating that I basically for court, and they lost my stuff. So I thought that for some stupid reason, I thought that me like trying to get attention would help me with my property being lost, but it didn't happen like that. And it was just something very stupid that I did.
Yeah, and it sounds a lot like, you're not giving your DNA. It's the same kind of thing. That's why, you have to comply with the rules. And even though you may not agree with them, you can certainly ask questions and everything and ask why they're doing that, but you can't take it into your own hands and then start doing things because you end up with all this kind of trouble,
Yeah.
You understand that?
Yes, I do understand that.
So I was looking at these domestic violence things, there's a couple different incidents, When is your domestic violence class ending soon?
It ends in 2 days.
It ends in 2 days?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you taking any other programs?
I haven't taken any programs. On my OAP, they wanted me to do anger management for some reason, and they wanted me to do this program called Voices. But right now they're not doing those classes at the moment.
Okay. Did you talk about anger management a little bit through domestic violence?
Yes.
You did, right? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna pass this along to my colleagues, so thank you for answering my questions. I'm gonna hear what they have to ask you and listen to your answers, and then we'll decide what we're gonna do, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, Mr. Lawrence, you did a nice job answering my colleagues' questions. You provided some good information. I'm interested, two of your charges. One is a violation of a conditional, violation of a protective order. What is your understanding of a protective order?
My understanding is that they're not supposed to talk to them at all, and you're supposed to keep away from them. Okay.
All right. So the two victims that you have in this case, there's a protective order for one of them. But if you were to get parole, we would stipulate that you not have any contact with both of them. So do you understand that you would have to stay away from them?
Yes, I do. And
Would that be a problem? Would that be a problem for you?
No, it won't
Okay.
be a problem for me.
Okay. And you're right now participating in mental health services at Garner. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how's that going?
It's going really well. I feel like I learned a lot from the class.
Good, good. And have you given any thought to how you'll continue with your mental health services in the community?
I was actually thinking about going to CHR.
Have you been there before?
I've been there before, but only for a little bit. But now I feel like I'll go and get therapy there.
Okay. All right. And you continue with what you're doing at the facility in the community?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How do you feel today?
I feel great.
Okay. All right. And do you still have contact with your sister?
No.
No.
Not right now.
Not right now?
One of my sisters I'm not talking, one of my sisters I can't speak to because I got a protection order against her for some reason.
Okay.
But my oldest sister that lives in New York, I speak to her.
Okay. Okay. All right. I have no other questions. Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I only have I think I read that you attended inpatient program, Renaissance. Why did you attend that program?
Because I had problems with alcohol and drugs, smoking marijuana, and I wanted to go and I wanted to do a program, so I sought that program out.
How long were you in?
I was there for 3 months. I believe it was 3 months.
I just want to know because you got a low drug score.
Yeah.
Find out. Do you feel you have a problem?
No, I don't have a problem anymore. I stopped doing it.
I don't have any additional questions.
Mr. Lawrence, we have no other questions this morning, so we will now deliberate and give you our answer at the end. All right, you can listen. Just please don't interrupt.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Sisauskas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Mr. Lawrence is past his parole eligibility date, and his sentence is in October. So we're talking about 10 months of parole support and services prior to him going on probation. And he is in a domestic violence program, and that's really good because that addresses some of his needs that these cases are related to domestic violence. He's able to explain some of the things that he's learning in domestic violence and how he will be able to use those things in the community to avoid these problems in the future. He only had one disciplinary report, and he explained what happened. He understands that that was not good behavior, and it has been more than a year since that disciplinary report. We went through the protective order with him. He seems to understand what that means. And so I believe that he can use this additional support over the next 10 months to get situated before he goes on to probation. And I would be in support of his parole.
Excellent. And so would I, for all the same reasons. I would be in support of his parole. He sounded good today. I think he's got a very clear understanding of what it means to be on supervision and follow the requirements, the stipulations. And I do think the extra support will be helpful for him to get established with services and housing at some point. Mr. Rodriguez?
I'm in agreement as well.
Okay. All right. So conditions?
So definitely mental health treatment and evaluation.
I have no alcohol.
You have no alcohol?
I had no alcohol because he had an alcohol issue before he went inpatient. He went in for alcohol.
And I had medication compliance.
Yeah, I think he's got only 10 months here. And
Right.
It's probably a good idea for that during that initial 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about
Contact with victim?
What about the halfway house?
Yeah, definitely halfway house. And I had community-based treatment for domestic violence.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah. I'm glad that checked out.
Okay.
So he's already started. He can complete the second part of that.
And then we have a general no contact with the victims, IF and ES.
Yes.
Since they're on the underlying. On the violation of probation or the.
I have them both listed here. ES and IF.
One's on the BOP.
Oh, okay. I didn't differentiate. Is ES on the violation of probation? Or IF? Hold on.
ES on the violation. I think the other one is the protective order.
Sure.
Well, ES has a protective order now.
Anyways. All right, so I'm gonna do a no contact with both of them. No contact with victims. Okay. So in the matter of Roshawn Lawrence, 435-046, I make a motion to grant parole on or after today's date, which is December 11th, 2024, with the following stipulations. No alcohol, halfway house placement, mental health treatment and medication compliance, community-based treatment for domestic violence, and no contact with victims IF and ES. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Lawrence, we granted you parole today. You'll get, you won't go out today, but you'll go soon. And did you understand the stipulations that are required?
Yes, I understand the stipulations.
Okay, excellent.
All right, this concludes the hearing for Roshawn Lawrence, number 435-046. All right, sir, you're all set. Good luck.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, have a good day. And this concludes the hearing for December 11th, 2024 at Cheshire and Garner. It is 11:50 a.m.